this movie does follow a basic premise, but the part that we want to talk about a little bit more is the science aspect of weird weird science, and I say science in like giant fucking quotes.
Ghostbuster science.
Yeah, Ghostbuster science, if you will.
You take that back.
That's the real science.
So we have
Big shit you learn in college.
in 1985, what kind of computers were available at the time?
Zenith, like IBM,
Zenith?
fucking I don't. Oh, the ones that they were fucking with, maybe.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised because those were floppy disk fucking computers.
Yeah.
Not 3.5-inch floppy, the old
5-inch. Yeah.
Also read that the name Lisa was kind of premeditated, where she was actually named by John Hughes after the Apple Lisa computer. This is prior to like
Jesus Christ, I forgot about that shit.
Not I wouldn't say Tim Apple, but what's the fucking guy that died first? Steve Apple.
Steve Jobs.
No,
got it.
I believe his name was Johnny Appleseed.
Wrong movie.
He had named a computer, one of the desktops, Apple Lisa.
Yeah, the Lisa. Yeah.
So that's why it was named Apple Lisa. And it wasn't an Apple computer, right? That he was using.
No.
Right? I mean, I don't know. Like at the time, like I didn't get a computer until 2001, guys. So
yeah, I couldn't determine what kind of machine he was using, but it didn't follow the standard aesthetic that early Macs had, and nothing about some other early workstations. That usually had beige involved in the color scheme, but they're like browns and blacks, I think, that were on Wyatt's rig.
I don't quite remember too well.
But this is also when really, I'm not sure how. Well, because of course all the fantastic bullshit with like the hacking was nonsense, but with that was some of the green text and stuff, and kind of like the more MS DOSy kind of environment, like that looked about right.
I mean, it just looked like they were fucking around with a screensaver from the 90s.
Yeah, well, I did have a question. There's a piece of tech that he has, and I saw this also in the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick. Where
that's old school modem, dude.
Yeah, they get the telephone.
Yeah,
Is that like legit? Like
it used to be.
Like they get the telephone actual handle and just put it on some kind of like thing, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, it allows them to access the phone line. Like it's.
But I'm just curious as to how that does, because I mean, if you're just getting the handle and putting it on something, like how does that work?
I mean, I can guess. I wouldn't be able to tell you specifically.
Because I know in both those scenarios, they use that to like hack into the military mainframe or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah,
to bust through and like get all this information that's just like random ass text that's fucking going up and down the screen. I don't know anything about that. I'm assuming anyone who watched these movies at the time, like I'm gonna say about 99% of the people that had no computer. So they were just buying, like you could do any of this kind of shit in real life with these this minimal tech that they have.
Well, it wasn't minimal tech. Like the shit that he had there. Yeah, super expensive. Way the fuck like beyond their what high school kids can manage for starters, obviously.
Well, yeah. Wyatt got it as a Christmas gift.
Everything that they were fucking doing was bullshit. Like they were creating an AI, they were feeding it data. Like, okay, so that was kind of cool how they were like scanning pictures in, because that, if I'm not mistaken, is how you feed an AI information. You give it images.
Yeah, but I don't know how the computer in 1985 made the leap to go, oh, here's a picture of Albert Einstein. Yeah. So instead of making Lisa look like maybe have like the hair of Einstein or the mustache or something, somehow the machine knew, we're looking at his brain for that. Right. Yeah.
That was the thing. Like apparently fucking Wyatt like just hits a couple buttons and puts a brain together for her, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Make her stupid. What was one of the fucking categories?
Like it was a fifth grade brain.
And it said, like dumb. Did they say dumb as shit or something?
Yeah, boring as shit. I
Boring
think
as
is what it was. Yeah, but I can't remember what the middle category was.
Like something slut. I don't remember. Fuck. Nah. So
Yeah, so
you know when they're creating the actual physical aspects of her, and like they're creating like the breasts and stuff.
yeah,
It's just like coming in and
with
out
that wireframe bullshit.
with the wireframe. Yeah. Fucking Gary's quote: "You have anything more than a handful, you're risking a sprain." Like,
you're risking a tongue sprain. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, because like originally they tried to give her big tits, and they were like, no, and they're like, oh, okay, and you see the wireframe tits bounce a little or something as they shrink back or something like
Yeah,
it's some goofy crap.
and I'm sorry, but not big. It was not sufficient. We're talking, just absolutely enormous breasts, because
yeah,
they're like, about to break through the fucking computer screen.
they're like circus tits, like they're like coming out so much out of like the screen, like they have to like go backwards, because it's just so huge. When they're like feeding the images to the computer, and that image of David Lee Roth comes out, I go, was that computer even capable of handling that kind of picture image?
Oh yeah, you say it's too much. It was just like a sensory.
Well, I mean, everything else is very like wiry, green screen, like green text on black background.
All the pictures of the Playboy tits that they're putting in there.
No, like the actual computer itself.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like the video image of David Lee Roth on like fucking Dave TV or whatever the fuck it was. Could that computer handle?
Yes, but the resolution is
high resolution. Yeah,
it's gonna look like ass. Yeah, it can. Sure.
I'm not back then. I'm going to say absolutely fucking not back then. I mean, because this is back in like OG Oregon Trail and stuff like that. And yeah, but your point, Roland, I think you're trying to make, like, even if the computer could manage that, its resolution would be so shit, because we're talking, like these computers were like 8 to 16 bits, like Nintendo, early Nintendo style,
big pixels.
But
yeah. So I mean, one of the other things what else did they do to like create Lisa? So they hooked up a doll.
They played with some fucking circus science. That's what I'm gonna call this shit here. Because like they're both watching TV, they're chilling. Was it Wyatt's parents are out of town, and so he invites Gary. Gary is like, all right, I'm gonna chill, and so they're watching Bride of Frankenstein, right? I think.
No, they're just watching regular Frankenstein.
Oh, you're right. Excuse me. It's just it's old school fucking Bela Lugosi.
There's one small detail that I noticed, and it's from the many times I've seen this movie. There is a scene when they're in the kitchen watching the movie.
Yeah,
and it happens to be in black and white.
And then later it's in color. Yeah, I always wondered about that. So, but I'm wondering if
I just assumed they had a TV there that was black and white and another was color. A lot of people.
There's another thing also, is that scene was never in the original one that I saw. That must be some kind of either director's cut or something. That kitchen scene did not happen. Okay. Like the movie starts when they get pantsed in the gym. Yeah. And then it cuts immediately to Gary in the restroom fucking with Gary's like shaving cream and all that other shit. It jumps to that instead of like the kitchen.
Yeah.
There was a few scenes that were added in here that I was for sure certain that I had never seen prior to this.
I liked the kitchen scene because it made me laugh. It just showed me how silly ass a fucking character Gary is. Did he like go to the fridge and pull out like 5 frozen pizzas or something?
Yeah, didn't unwrap them, just threw them in the microwave. Yeah,
packed them all
out like a 2-3 pound thing of ground beef and some other random shit. Yeah,
as he's sipping his little glass of milk like it's fucking whiskey or some shit.
I just realized that I think I said he was fucking around with Gary stuff, but it was actually Wyatt stuff. Like
you did, but it's all good.
Yeah. So they're watching
Frankenstein, basically.
Frankenstein everywhere, and while they're doing this, Gary's just positing the question, or you can see he's working some shit out in his head, kind of thing, because he's bitching about they're basically losers, right? In the beginning of the movie, they're like, "We don't have friends. Nobody likes us." They're like, "Oh yeah."
They're saying their fantasies out loud in school.
Yeah.
In
They're
front of
David, they're like David
10 class
Attenborough, but
girls,
like
yeah.
filthy.
Yeah. And you get those guys in the back, they just hearing all this nonsense of them like postulating
Yeah, as they're
themselves to, like,
standing,
where
they're fucking
they're
like
they're almost stars of the school. They're so popular now that
staring
everyone's
at all of
you
these
know.
fucking women.
Well, what would have been nice, or what actually probably should have happened, particularly because it's an 80s movie, is that
Should have been a
while they're
shower
watching the girls doing their gymnastic stuff, the two that Gary's narrating about and how they're going to fall, these two particular gals are going to fall madly in love with them. Those are RDJ's and the other guy's girlfriends.
That's right. That's
So they
right.
probably should have gotten an ass kicking, for an 80s flick, but
I mean,
They got
so
parents, so it's kind of
they got lucky just to be humiliated, I guess, or maybe it's
I mean,
worse. I don't really know.
there's plenty of ass kickings or threatened ass kickings in this movie, so it's got that 80s, a bit of that 80s fucking theme in there.
yeah.
They're in the kitchen watching Frankenstein,
Right.
and Gary goes, he would have been better off making a chick.
And then that's when Wyatt is like, well, he did, Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein,
And
wasn't that
Gary was like, oh, but she looked like, what did she say? What did he say? She looked like a skag or something like that.
Well, the argument was that you couldn't make a beautiful woman to marry a monster.
Right. Yeah. She's like, so they want to make a hot chick. Just watching this movie in Wyatt's room again, they're
Gary's like, he's right.
He's right.
And it was a beautiful, I think, job of script writing and directing, and where the scene where Wyatt's like, you can't be serious or whatever, and Gary says, look in my eyes and tell me I'm not serious. And the lighting shifts and his eyes get super wide. But during that moment, I think you have Dr. Frankenstein saying, crazy, I'll show them that I'm not crazy or whatever. It was just, I thought that was just a really well put together scene.
There are a lot of really good shots. I do like quite a bit of the camera work in this movie. I mean, pretty much everything. The sight gags are fucking hilarious. Like when they're in the. So firstly, I thought it was pretty amusing and ironic or whatever that the fantasy that Gary and Wyatt talk about in the beginning of the movie, like their plan, that's exactly how the movie goes, isn't it? They wanted to meet a cool chick, go out to party, go out drinking, go out driving, on the night on the town kind of thing, right? And then they wanted to come home to a big ass party, and I think that's exactly what they did, as far as everything.
Well, yeah, initially they basically wanted to be very popular, and Lisa does exactly that. She gives them that popularity.
Yeah, she enables them to realize, that they're actually pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, she pulls them out of their comfort zone, because like.
I'm sorry. I agree with you guys. I was just thinking about like, they're not that cool, but yes.
Well, like put in a scenario like they showed like that they could be cooler than they normally were.
So when it was really funny, like, I mean, they all, when they create Lisa, like basically it's like stepping into the Twilight Zone because the house gets struck by lightning.
Yeah.
What kind of weird shit happens? The fucking door like bulges out and bursts. One of the doors in the room went to the bathroom. That's where she appears.
Mind you, this also doesn't just affect the house though. This is affecting the entire, it seems like the entire vicinity of
town. Yeah, because
like, there's a dog that's like upside down.
Yes,
on the ceiling. Yeah, the welcome to whatever city they're in, Shermer or whatever. It catches fire. Yeah.
Right.
This all these electrical things going on, or I really don't know how to.
They're causing all these.
They're causing all these like weird scenarios in the whole fucking town.
Yeah.
Well, everything is electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
Interacting with itself or with each other, a la Ike. Then it holds that fields affect another or whatever. So and whatever is brewing during the creation process is so powerful that it's impacting multiple fields, which I thought was really nifty.
Sure.
Particularly with all the crazy shit I've been reading. But anyway,
No, I mean, like, that's all within the electromagnetism is crazy shit.
so they get the idea, let's do it, and they start trying to create Lisa. For some reason, the key thing that's missing is more power, but it's not defined. It's not really clear whether it means electricity or computing power. But assuming that because they hack into like the Air Force or whatever,
something, there's just some
whatever military organization that's all of their tapes start spinning up and shit. And
I love when they panic and shit. And like, yeah. Oh, we've been penetrated. Like, yeah, they pounding on the fucking boards and shit.
Yeah, but I bet like back in the 80s, like it was just like, oh, the only way to really counteract is try to trick them. So let me type access denied.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can have some kind of like boring sound effect where you get a strike and like go through these like very synthwave tunnels, you know.
Yeah, that was funny.
Similar to our background here.
So yeah, you know, out comes Lisa, hot as fuck. And what's the first thing these morons do?
But we haven't even really finished talking about the science involved. Because I mean, these guys have car batteries that they're plugging up. Right, they get the doll that they put the little spikes in her neck.
Yeah, that's right.
And clamp it up and shit. And then they also have some ceremonial elements to it. Bras in their head, couple candles lit.
The ritual.
Fucking Gary's, making like kind of like
candles and
yeah. And so, and what I love, which actually I think it was probably really intentional by whoever's great idea it was. But did you guys notice that what the Lisa doll was laying atop?
Yeah, the game of life. The board game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laughed at that. I was like, good. Finally, they found a use for that fucking thing. Game sucks.
I don't know, man. I played that shitload out of that when I was a kid, man.
I played it a lot and I hated it. I played it a lot.
It's just mad when your career gets fucked.
Yeah, right. Can I sell my kids for rent money? No. Fuck. What good are they then? Yeah, that was really cool.
So yeah, but during this whole thing where they're simulating, what the entity to become known as Lisa was, a lightning storm comes.
Yes. So this thing starts fucking with the nature itself.
Yeah, which we got into or whatever. And so, and then it got to the point where things kind of like just started spinning really out of control, apart from all the crazy, wind and lightning and shit going on in town. But also Wyatt unplugs his fucking computer and it's still running.
Is there a point in time where the computing power that they were trying to infiltrate, I guess, and then like nature kind of came together and just that's what created Lisa, like nature and like technology coming together, regardless of like electrical power and stuff like that, like from the house. And it was nature's electrical power itself that was just basically powering the whole thing. Was there some kind of supernatural element involved?
I would say
did that ritual really help?
Maybe because later in the movie, when they replicate the experiment,
doesn't work.
In came the storm.
It does work. Yes,
it does work.
It does work, just not how they want. And actually, I have some comments / questions about that a little later when we get to that scene. Somehow they basically make a god,
right?
As Ray brought up in the synopsis, she's got godlike powers. She basically can just point at something and turn a light on. Imagine up a car, it's there. Right. Generate people that all of a sudden think Wyatt and Gary are cool, and you got hundreds of people showing up to party.
People's memories. She can freeze. Apparently,
freeze people in time.
She can turn people into different things.
Yeah, she can transmute shit, man. It's fucking.
Which is what I remember about this movie. What happens to fucking Chet?
Yeah,
I saw that and I immediately all like, oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
What kind of creature was that necessarily? That's
Shit
some kind of
demon,
like weird fart monster, you know?
I always thought it was kind of like a combination between a frog and a turd.
Yeah, you know, a furd. Is that what we're calling
Bird,
it?
yeah.
So yeah, they do. I think he eats a fly. He's got a long fucking tongue and goes, you know, and then he fucking farts all over the place. I don't know. I would have just gone with a shit demon. I love that because I mean, yeah, it was pretty funny. What did the scene before that? Lisa tells him she's like, I can be a real bitch when I don't get what I want, and then poof,
Yeah.
into a pile of shit.
But I mean,
Well-
he was also being a fucking dick too.
He's an asshole. Yeah, he's an absolute piece of shit.
Arguably, you know, despite, you know, Bill Pat or Chet being an asshole, that statement did hold even for Gary and Wyatt, because she's trying to, you know, break them out of their shells so they can kind of become like self-actualized human beings rather than just being victims all the time.
Sure.
You know, she summons up the biker gang that comes in towards the latter half of the movie,
As a challenge.
and they all know the intimate things that happened to Gary and Wyatt because they told Lisa.
So she
manifested all this stuff in order to get her way, which is to, as she said at the end of the movie, you know, I really got off to seeing you guys grow up or whatever it was.
I really get off seeing you guys grow up or some shit.
Now, I do have a question for you guys, and I was kind of deciding whether or not this actually happened. None of them had sex with her at any point, right?
No.
Although they could have.
Gary gets too drunk.
Yeah.
And Wyatt
also falls asleep.
Yeah, he falls asleep when she starts 10 seconds into her acrobatic routine.
Yeah.
I think, or whatever.
Oh, gymnastics. But actually, another case in point why Lisa could be kind of a bitch when she doesn't get what she wants. After Gary passed out, after Wyatt passed out on her, the next morning he wakes up and he's wearing the panties and like the half cut shirt that she was wearing. And then I think that she was wearing the dress shirt that he was wearing the night before. Yeah. So if certain things in this movie went kind of differently, I'd be like, oh man, this is just a massive hallucination that Wyatt was experiencing, you know, or Gary was experiencing, because all of a sudden, you know, his buddy's the one in the panties and short shirt, you know. But
and you get that scene where Chet sees him in the panties and like fucking takes off his towel. He's fucking
he tells him to cover up, so he takes off the towel around his waist and gives it to him. So it's like,
and you're treated to Bill Paxton mooning the camera.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, definitely treated.
And that ass. Christ.
Ass don't quit, man.
It's fucking pretty funny, man. Yeah, I just enjoyed seeing Bill Paxton being an asshole, because
and he does it so well too. I'm like,
he does.
I feel like Bill Paxton in every scene that he's in, whether it was like us first getting introduced to him, and he's like confronting Gary and Wyatt and they're drunk as shit, and then at some point he confronts him again because he's wearing the panties, and then he just leaves at some point to go hunting apparently.
Yeah.
And then he comes back, he has the fucking gun, and he's taking like Gary, that girl, hostage almost, and pointing the gun like right in their fucking face.
Yeah,
I mean, like the barrels are, you know, on their noses. You know.
Yeah. What does he say? He's gonna kill Gary, and she'll end up with a severe limp or something like that. So,
but actually, you know, I wish the doors in my house were a little bit different, because now if I have the choice, I want to open doors that are partially open the way Chet does after the initial
introduction. Fucking hits him with his elbows.
Well, no, he kind of did like a yes, but I think he kind of like booted it open with his heel.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of like backed in.
Yeah,
and
I actually haven't seen anybody do that shit on TV forever.
I was
Like,
just
I
like,
saw him do
oh,
that, and
that's a way to get into a room.
I did. I saw him do that. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, he does a little spin and then does a little kick and fucking elbows the
Do
door.
you guys think in that confrontation that Lisa had something to do with altering Chet's perceptions? Because he was really pissed off, and then all of a sudden he kind of like looks like he's about to throw up, and then he starts laughing, and then just goes to his room.
Well, I don't know. I don't. I think that's just kind of like a mechanism that he has to try to like gross them out because they're drunk.
I thought he was trying to fuck.
But he also does that. I think that when he's like that turd monster or whatever, because like he when he says he tells Wyatt, he goes, "I love you," and he goes, "Eh," like he fucking like
Yeah,
does a
yeah,
fucking gagging motion too.
like,
So
I can't believe I said
and then he
that.
starts like laugh because
Or maybe that's just something I kind of wrestled with because it seemed just like a complete just shift in, his overall attitude.
no, I just think it's just a dick thing to do because they're fucked up.
He's not that drunk. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much just a turd throughout the whole movie, and then not at the end or whatever, because he got, it was either that or stay as a turd demon or whatever the fuck he was.
Sure, yeah.
Where did we leave off?
I guess we're still talking about the science portion of this movie. Let's talk about that second instance where they want to prove their worth and attempt this experiment again.
Yeah,
Well, basically, so somewhere along the way there was a renegotiation, I guess, between RDJ and his other bully buddy and Gary and Wyatt, because it went from, hey, you let us get a crack at Lisa, we'll let you like basically have our girlfriends.
Right.
And it goes from there to now they're in the bedroom trying to recreate the experiment to make another girl. So then it's like, oh, is this, what? But it just was kind of weird because
it's funny is that they were doing this whole experiment. Mind you, they didn't want to. I don't think they wanted to ask Lisa, but we know Lisa had the capability of making almost like a clone of herself.
Probably.
Insisting she has like godlike powers for them. But I mean, of course, Lisa at this point was trying to get Wyatt and Gary to, I guess, use their personality and their character to kind of get people to like them instead of, like she says later,
people like you for what you are, not what you can give them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, they were just trying to make another Lisa.
Yeah, because they're trying to show off.
Yeah.
They couldn't just say no to RDJ and his fucking thug.
Right. Right. They wanted to seem cool, They wanted to seem like, yeah, we can do this for you.
But in their hubris, they forgot to plug up the doll. So the little electrodes that were supposed to be attached to a doll were, and I don't know how this works because they weren't actually like connected
on top, right? Like lying on the picture.
Yeah, just lying on top of a magazine that was a fucking nuclear missile. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, so the comment kind of thing I wanted to make about that was that rocket technically sentient then? Because it had all of the fucking Lisa data and stuff fed into it. So if it had, a mouth and all that stuff, I mean, it manifested a rocket, but like, was a rocket sitting there going like, oh, when you guys gonna try to fuck me,
No, it was trying to do the fucking itself, like, yeah, I don't know. It's quite possible that it could have had some kind of a AI ability to
because what I'm trying to get at is that the fucking little Barbie doll that they initially used somehow became a woman, and then but it had all the data fed in from the computer program,
right?
Even though that rocket was mostly inert except for like the exhaust and shit coming off of it or whatever to make it look spookier. Did that technically contain like the Lisa program? Like
it's quite possible that it could have.
I don't see why not.
But
I mean, we don't have any way to disprove it. So,
well,
yeah, it's true. It's just
I mean, yeah, like if.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to email Anthony Michael Hall and just be like, "Hey, man, like,
Right.
John Hughes is dead, so we can't ask him, obviously.
No.
Yeah, so that's why I jumped to Anthony Michael Hall, because if everybody
Next.
knows,
Yeah, yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, yeah, absolutely. The people still asking questions about.
Is that nuclear rocket still around? We can ask it.
Yeah. Let me check on Twitter, see who's got a profile.